Okay, we're on our last day of Unit 6 on congruent triangles, and we're going to start with what's on the back of our foldable. Go all the way to the back with the CPCTC. And this is something that actually most students don't have any problem with, because most of the time I find that most students just find that this just makes sense to them. So CPCTC stands for corresponding parts of congruent triangles are congruent. So take a second, copy this down, and then pause the video if you need. And we're going to go over what it means here. But we've now written it down, and it's actually at the top of your notes as well, but I just wanted it to be down in on our foldable. We're going to put a couple more things in our foldable today as well, but just set it aside for now. So we're going to use CPCTC at the top of our thing here, and you'll notice that this top part looks exactly like what we've done the last two classes. So go ahead, pause, take a minute, fill these out. Okay, so I paused, I filled this out, pause, make sure you've got this copy down. Okay, and then the congruence postulate, that's the same thing we talked about before. This is side, side, side. And this one is side, angle, side. Now what CPCTC says is, now that we've said these triangles are congruent, remember this first part we were just writing down what the triangles actually showed us was true, but now that I know that these triangles are congruent, now I can say, I know the triangles are congruent, so the corresponding parts, the other parts that match up, are also going to be congruent. So in other words, now that I know these triangles are congruent, because we now said it, now I can come back and say, what else I know is I also know angle A has to be the same as angle F. Angle B has to be the same as angle E. And angle C has to be the same as angle D. Because I was shown this in the picture, that let me conclude that it was congruent by side, side, side. Now that I know it's congruent, now I can also do the parts that weren't originally shown in my picture. We're going to repeat that on the next one. So I wrote down what was shown in the picture. I said the triangles are congruent by side, 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 angle, side. Now that I know they're congruent, I can also do the other parts. I now know that U is also the same as X. Angle V is the same as angle W. And I also know that UV is the same as WX. This is just logical to most students, and most students don't have a problem with this. It's just saying what you already intuitively knew, that once we say these triangles are congruent, well, if it's congruent, that other side had to be the same as well. Alright, we're going to go back to our foldable now. And we're going to talk about doing proofs. So I'm going to cut this off on part 1, and I'm going to make a part 2 about proofs.